going to build a life for myself in another country.
Science sisters, they're here to
If it's your wife, is it nepotism?
things that you may
back where it
know
came
nothing
from.
at
What do you
all.
mean back home? Back in my parents' house? Just
Yeah,
give
there is
me another
myself.
sheet
Oh,
that is
yeah,
just a
she's your
twin
hoe.
schedule. It's only normal.
Science sisters, let's start the show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Science Sisters. My name is Iris van Zels and I'm your host, and today I'm joined by Diana Avedani, who is a PhD student at the University of Oxford studying rock rheology and mineral physics. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi Iris, thank you so much for coming and having me on your channel.
Today, the topic is going to be women in science, and let's see if we can stick to that topic. Have you had any experiences, negatively or positively maybe, about being a woman in science?
Well, I will say I am very young and I haven't been a woman in science for that long. Oh! Well, yeah, I mean, I think compared to some other people's careers that I look up to, I haven't been a woman in science for that long. And I have been, broadly speaking, in a bubble, right? Like Oxford is a bubble compared to the UK, compared to many other institutions. So I've had enormous privilege and I've mainly been able just to deal with my academics and my science, and I've never felt like my gender or my gender expression has had an impact on that. I was actually talking to a friend about this, kind of navigating science and a STEM subject and a male-dominant subject as a woman. And to be frank, if someone has made some assumptions about my technical skills based on gender, I'm not sure I would know, right? Like, how would I know? Unless they're telling it in my face or to a colleague, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I think it's mostly the very subtle things.
Yeah, women are generally associated with, kind of, in a research group, like in a professional setting, kind of put into this more position of being the secretary, the organizer, the nurturer. I think,
The social skills.
It's unfortunately a very common trope. Again, I will say, because I'm sort of, when I go to a conference, or if maybe I exit the bubble, the way I'm navigating the world is, well, as a woman, but also as a young woman, and, well, as a Romanian young woman. So sometimes, I've had microaggressions. I'm just not sure they were because of my gender.
About Romania, where you are from, there's not that many Eastern European scientists, or they...
What?
Hear me out. There are Eastern European scientists, but then typically they are at Western European universities.
Oh, right.
You
Yes,
know?
of course. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Because I just wanted to say, like, oh my God, Oxbridge Imperial, like, it was full of Romanian researchers. What are you talking about?
Because there are universities in Romania, obviously, and other Eastern
there are
European
buildings.
countries. I also read on Twitter that, because I noticed this, someone had tweeted or said to you, so are you going back to Romania after, you finish your studies? And you were adamant.
No, I mean, sometimes you get this, like, oh, you're going back home, like, one off. Please do not make definitions of what is home for me. Maybe home for me is wherever I sleep, which might be a hostel if I'm traveling, or might be my parents' house, or might be my student accommodation, like,
Fair point.
do not send me back home. It's also like back home, like, what do you mean back home? Back in my parents' house? No, probably not.
But that's interesting, because most of the Western European people that I know, or people from the Netherlands, for example, or from Germany or the UK, they all venture out after their initial studies.
Exactly.
With the intent of at some point finding a permanent position back home in their home country.
Right.
So, if you ask that question, it's of course, that is the ultimate aim, because there, if my family there, I want to raise my kids. But yeah, maybe that's only in very specific cases.
Yes, of course. I just think, well, for example, in the UK, there's plenty of internal migration. If you're at Oxford and you meet a student, I don't know, from Birmingham, you wouldn't necessarily ask them, oh, are you gonna go back home when you graduate?
No, but I guess that is kind of, and might be completely wrong, that you have a shared culture, and I really don't know anything about this, so I'm not sure if we should talk about it. There's a shared culture within a country, whether that be the UK or something. It's kind of easier to move back home, if you want to call it that, because there is this implicit general knowledge of how the system works and how the country and the politics. I found that if you move to another place, you don't have that implicit knowledge, and it's difficult to obtain that.
I mean, sort of. I've moved out very early. I've lived my whole adult life in the UK. I left Romania when I was 19 to pursue study, but also to sort of pursue immigration. It wasn't just about the undergraduate studies. I actively emigrated. And it's honestly easier to emigrate if you're doing a degree, because you're joining an institution, you're joining a student body, you're getting a degree in another language.
So when you left Romania, in your mind you had the idea of this is where I'll be for a long time.
I mean, I wasn't necessarily committed to the UK, but I was committed to the West.
Right.
So
Because,
when I left, emotionally speaking, like, of course I went back to my parents' house during the breaks, to visit during the summer, but emotionally speaking, I am emigrating.
Yeah,
I am leaving. I'm going to build a life for myself in another country. It was not a year abroad. It was not a gap year.
Because when I went to Switzerland for my PhD, it was very much as an expat. You know, I never envisioned building a life for myself in Switzerland. So I didn't. It was very much, I'm going there for the job, I want to get my PhD, and then I'm probably out again.
Well, unfortunately, the way the sort of socioeconomic reality of Romania is in this kind of post-communist, but having joined the EU, is that a lot of people are actively seeking out emigration. You know, there's a whole cultural movement, and for people like myself, so people who are in a very good high school, people who go to Olympiads, who perform really well at Olympiads, who do extracurriculars, who go at these kind of national contests and kind of form links with other students who then might go to very good universities, then in your mind, you're like, but I could do that too. I have similar prizes, or I have similar performances, or I have similar English skills. So then that's kind of its own sort of Olympiad subculture where, you know, you have these very good pool of students who kind of figure out that their academics is their ticket to try to build a life outside. Many people return after having had their education abroad, but it's still not compensating in terms of numbers for the people who left.
Right.
So there are people who return. I have colleagues who've returned under Romania and they're very happy about their choice, and they have very good jobs and they're making an impact on society as well, but the numbers are not balanced.
So are you going to move back home after this?
Gonna go back home, back where I came from.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Do you like, well, I don't know, Oxford specifically, or the UK?
I do love Oxford. Hello.
Yeah, I know, I've also fallen in love with it.
It is a very nice place. I mean, it's been the privilege of my life to be here for so long. It's been beautiful. Sometimes I can't even believe it that this is where I live. After PhD, I will burst the bubble. And I'm very eager to go and live in other Western countries. I'm kind of following more career opportunities rather than the country itself. So in that way, now I have a lot more this kind of mentality that people in the West have, you know, when they move from the Netherlands to France to whatever, and they say, well, you know, I'm following the career opportunity, but eventually I'll come back to the Netherlands. You know, I like this society, broadly speaking, very broadly speaking.
Yeah, let's not go into that.
There are many things that I like. I have lots of friends. I have a very wide support network here that I'm very grateful for. So I do think eventually, you know, this is it for me, kind of England, Southern England, because this is where my friends are. This is where my support network is.
Mm-hmm.
But I am open to career opportunities abroad.
So when you're talking about career opportunities, do you specifically mean postdocs and staying in academia, or broader than that as well?
Does anyone stay in academia anymore? Are there any jobs in academia?
I think those are two different questions. Are there jobs in academia? Probably not. Are people staying in academia? Sometimes. I know some people that are unemployed and still doing research, which is questionable.
I don't know yet. I'm broadly open. My only criteria really is the science, the quality of the science, the quality of the scientific contribution. That's really like what I don't want to give up on. When I got my Oxford offer and, you know, I was obviously very happy about it, and I didn't tell lots of people for a long time. I suppose I was so much in denial for so long. Until I saw myself on the plane, I felt like it could just not happen. But at some point it started to like trickle down to my classmate community. And then at some point it was very clear to me that, you know, things aren't solved for me, so to speak. It's very clear for me that there's a lot of hard work coming up, and I'm just gonna work really hard, but maybe on like a different level. with like different type of competition, but it will still be a lot of really hard work. And some of my classmates, I remember kind of like someone saying, "Oh, Diana, this is so good for you. You have your life sorted. Companies will just knock at your door, like you'll just get job offers immediately." And now I'm just like, yep. Where are these?
No one is knocking.
No one is
It's
knocking.
very silent.
I mean, I'm very well aware that you do want to talk about women in science, so let's go back to that. Obviously, for subjects like geology and undergrad that, you know, have a fieldwork component, I do think, you know, fieldwork can be different for women. Doesn't have to be.
Oh, I've been talking about,
But
well, not on camera, but with a lot of colleagues about this. So you've done a lot of fieldwork during undergrad.
I mean, I wouldn't say a lot, but
I mean, probably more than I did.
oh,
I did 4 weeks. in
No,
Spain.
more. Than that.
So were there any things that you ran into as a woman?
Well, like when people organize a field course,
Yeah.
and when people plan traveling and stops and accommodation and things like that, or first aid kits, I think it is only normal. It is common sense to plan these, accounting for the whole of the student body that needs to sit to pee. So again, when you think about toilets break, or
Yeah.
what are the items in the first aid kit, or, you know, how long we're going to be in the woods for, I think it's only normal. Again, it's not a nice thing you do for me, it's not a favor. It's just normal to plan things logistically so that the female population joining that field course has access to sanitary loos.
I had this epiphany because people were telling me exactly this in the last year or so when I realized, oh, is this normal? Because I never had that. So I had a field course in Spain, which was 4 weeks, and you had partners. So there was always 2 people, and you just had to map the whole region and figure out its geology. And I was partnered with a guy. I mean, this was my own choice. We roamed about this area for 4 weeks, and I never really knew what to do with toilet stops because, I mean, there were no toilets. It was a field.
Yeah, you just gotta let it go.
Yeah, so...
Let it go.
But then this was not something that we talked about, or that anyone talked about as far as I knew. I was not really drinking enough, definitely not, which apparently is a problem for women in the field. They just get dehydrated, especially students, because they just don't talk about it. I was definitely one of those. And then, you know, in the special occasion that I had to, I would just very awkwardly be like, can you just turn around? Because it was Spain. There were no trees or anything to hide behind. It was very annoying. And then luckily, because this is something I didn't want to consider how to deal with that, I just kept taking the pill to avoid having a period.
Oh,
Because I just could not imagine how to deal with that
okay.
in the field. So I didn't.
I'm a bit more hardcore.
So what do you do?
Let it go, mate. Just gotta let it go. Let it go. Let it go. So I have been in places where, you know, there's no stop. There's like nothing in sight.
Exactly.
And that is fine. I just think when you organize a field course as part of a degree, I think you just have to be really honest with people and tell them right beforehand, like tell them very clearly, look, on that field day, there is gonna be no modern toilet to access. You won't be able to access a modern toilet for 10 hours. And then people can plan. I suppose spontaneous and helpful and awkward to be like every morning, like to your leader, oh, how many toilets are we gonna have today? Or like how many toilet breaks? And just give me another sheet that is just the toilet schedule.
Yeah.
But again, not everyone is a planner in the same way I am. I think I would have liked that. It doesn't mean it works for everyone else. Yeah, I think personally, like if you will encounter more, you know, sort of like field work, rough situations, whatever, that's fine. It's kind of what you sort of sign up for when you do a field course, but at least tell people so they can plan.
Talking about these women in sciences and professors that are men, I do know some instances of professors who just hire their wives on eternal postdoc contracts.
Love it!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is nice on the one hand, but on the other hand, you know, room for promotion is limited because...
So if it's your wife, is it nepotism? Because it's not your nephew.
Also, there's also a lot of stories, I don't know if you know those, of professors hooking up with students.
Oh,
Or, you know, not necessarily consensual as well.
well, we've had reports that fieldwork setup can become increasingly exploitative
Right.
and harmful and just kind of a petri dish for all sorts of harassment.
I guess the lines between
Yeah.
in the hierarchy kind
This
of
is the
blur.
workplace. I'm wearing boots and it's raining and I'm smelling, but this is the workplace.
Yeah, Yeah,
So-
exactly. Talking about sadness, PhDs can be really trying. So, how's that been going so far?
Mentally.
Yes.
Oh God.
Okay.
Oh God.
We've opened a can of worms.
I don't think you have the accreditation to like talk about my mental journey through the PhD. I mean, it's definitely been with ups and downs, but overall, I'm very glad and very grateful I did it. And I mean, it's something that I dreamed about. I was kind of quite nerdy teenager, and even, you know, from my first year at Oxford, I just kind of always dreamed about doing a PhD and doing research, and it's just really nice to be able to accomplish some of that. I dreamed about doing it well, you know?
Yeah.
Now I'm just kind of
Doing it.
doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll take what I can get.
Yeah. You adjust your dreams slightly.
Yeah, I'll just adjust my dreams.
Yeah. Doing a PhD well, doing a PhD, full stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, is anyone's PhD fantastic these days? I don't know.
I mean, I have some colleagues with really cool PhDs, like really cool thesis, and I'm always like, oh, how did you do that? But then I've learned not to compare myself. Well, theoretically, I've learned that. Putting it into practice is
But
a
that's so
different
hard,
story.
isn't it? I find it really hard. And I think it's tricky because there seems to be a double standard in the sense that don't compare yourself to others, but when it comes to jobs and prizes and opportunities, we will compare you.
Exactly. It's very difficult, especially if you have an office mate or someone who's at more or less the same level of career as you, same stage of career. You will, well, I will, have a look at, oh, how many papers do they have?
Totally. Oh,
Oh.
God, totally.
Oh, and they always have more.
Yeah.
They always have more. It's never that you think, oh, actually, I'm not doing too bad. No, they always have more. So I feel like we've been talking about a lot of things.
Yeah, we have. And, you know, we,
All
again,
very interesting things.
we have many other things to talk about. There's many problems out there in the world.
Yeah, sadly.
Many problems in academia, many problems in the way we do science. Are we gonna end this optimistically?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
gonna say how we're going to end it optimistically.
I mean, if you're, I'm sorry, I'm just not. If you want optimism, no, maybe just put a nice jingle at the end. It's not gonna, yeah, it's not gonna come from me.
And on that note, thank you so much for watching all the way to this despairing conclusion. Thank you so much for being here and bringing all your positivity and sharing that with the world. There will be some resources in the description down below. We went back to, again, a depressing angle.
I'm sorry. It's just I'll keep dragging you in there. I'm sorry. I just have nothing optimistic to say. Nothing matters. Just enjoy life.
I mean, that is kind of a nice thing to end it on. Enjoy life.
Enjoy life.
If you enjoyed this video, please click like and subscribe to the channel to not miss the next episode of Science Sisters. That was very smooth. I'm very pleased with that.
You should be.
I will see you in the next one. Bye! Because geosciences is apparently one of the least diverse STEM fields.
Ah, is everyone surprised? I have a bucket of gloom and despair.
We'll see how the end goes and what it will actually be about. There must be red thread somewhere.
I know. What is the cringiest person that I've interviewed? Is it me? Be honest.